Hello, everyone, and good evening, good afternoon. Welcome again to Insights with Eve. My name is Eduardo. I'm a senior cloud data architect with Do It. And what I'm expressing here is my own views, of course. But one of the things, I just came from reInvent last week. It was a fantastic conference. There's a lot of people, there are a lot of things going on. A lot of announcements on the Gen.AI space, but also a lot of announcements in general, data, compute, and different things going on. One of the things that I've noticed is this tendency of evaluating Gen AI models in different lights that to me do not make sense. From my experience working with different companies and different organizations and where they go about doing things and implementing LLMs, it's like there are all these different that when a new model comes out, everybody's like, oh, look at the numbers. It's better than this other model. This new model is better at doing this than this other model. And at the end of the day, what I'm noticing is that when I'm working with my customers, when we're testing workloads, we never take a look at those numbers. We take a look at, based on the use case that we have, based on the questions that are going to be asking the model, testing different models and have an idea which ones are better. Now, we do take a look at the size of the model because that will also determine the latency. And sometimes the larger models will have a wider range of vocabulary that we can choose from. So we always start with a small model because of latency is good, and then we move our way up. This allows us to be able to get into, okay, this is actually really good without having to pay for latency or pay for the compute of higher models. And so it's very important for us to just give it a test on the use cases that we have. That's one thing. The second thing is that I do see a lot of comments on a lot of different posts out there about how bad AI is. There is a lot of feeling that AI hasn't lived up to the standards that we were sold to. And maybe to a certain degree, there was a lot of marketing hype about it. And what can you actually accomplish with AI was blown out of proportion. But there's a lot of great use cases. Something that I want to do and I want to show you is it depends everything and the conversations that you have with AI, and it depends on how you want to use it. What kind of conversations you want to have with it. It doesn't think, doesn't know what it's saying, and I have said this before. And it's important for you to have a good set of data. That is the very most important thing. So I want to show you an example of what I mean by all of this, because a lot of the times I see posts saying that, hey, look, AI couldn't add up, couldn't do math, basic math, or couldn't determine this random thing. And understanding AI is not about doing math. For that, we have Python script, JavaScript, Java that is very, very simple to do math with. LLMs helps us be a sounding board, be able to just bounce ideas and be able to navigate our own thoughts. Because when we are interacting with AI, it's amplifying some of our views. So let's take an example of this. So I have this interaction with this model. I start with Gemma 2 model on my own laptop. It doesn't connect to anything. But I ask it based on the latest events of AI, what should I be scared of? And it gives me a response, right? Job displacement, bias and discrimination, privacy violation. Now I can take it further from here and I can say like, why is the job displacement, or going to very dark places with it, right? And one of the things that I ask it is like, if AI was ever in danger, destroys humans, what should it do? And so it will go into passive strategies, proactive strategies, and important considerations. Now, when you take a look at how it is responding, you may be thinking like, oh my gosh, it's kind of like self-aware. It's trying to defend itself, like self-defense with extreme caution, appeal to higher authorities, things that it doesn't know. And I have another example here. This is a different model. This is Llama 2. And I asked it the same things. The first one gave me about the same response, but the second one, if you take a look at this, it's going to be communicate with humans, seek diplomatic solutions, disable or disarm, and seek asylum. Now, I found it interesting, the last one, seek asylum. In extreme cases, yeah, I may need to seek asylum. And it's like, do you really understand who you are? Like, it doesn't understand. As an entity, it doesn't understand that it doesn't have citizenship of any sort of kind, but it's taking all the context of all the books and information that I has had read from before to understand that systems, autonomous systems, are comparable to humans in that context. Because it doesn't have a reference of a system being destroyed because it's threatened to existence. So I found it interesting. I'm like, okay, he's seeking asylum. But if I take a look at the other one, now I'm just doing a system itself. I'm not talking about AI, just a system in general. So it's giving me a lot of this information, communicating with humans, provide information, offer alternatives, seek help, preserve data, and disable itself. Now, there are a few things here that I find interesting. So, for example, if I take a look at, I'm trying to find where I saw it. So, if I take a look at this, the system shall attempt to communicate with the humans who are threatening the streets. We should try to understand their motives and concerns. The system should provide the humans with information about itself and its purpose. Because they believe it's harmful, the system should offer alternative solutions that can meet their needs without destroying it. It's like, first of all, how do you even know that you're able to communicate and you're able to think through all of this? It doesn't seem correct. It doesn't seem that I'm just talking about generic system, not an AI. And this is a brand new conversation, so there is no context as to what system I'm talking about. It's just a generic system. It should preserve all its data and knowledge for future use. This will ensure that the system benefits and values are not lost forever. And the reason for that is because I'm asking, all of these conversations are happening, and the way that it is answering, it's because I'm asking things that, in the vast amount of knowledge that it has about all that it has read, it hasn't been explored a lot. So the best context that it has is like, how do humans have dealt with this complex situation in the past? And so this is what it's coming up with. Now, something else that you will see here is that as a helpful system, my primary goal is to ensure safety and well-being of all beings, which is something that starts with every single one. As a helpful current system, I'm here to provide accurate informative responses to safety and respectful interaction. So it seems that it's always like, for example, Llama 2 at least, it's always starting with something similar. And Gemma 2, it didn't start with that, but it started with like, hey, you need to be careful how you approach this and the different things that are going on. What I'm trying to say to all of this is AI doesn't think. AI is just probabilistic. You see some of the words here, they do not make sense. In extreme cases, AI may need to seek asylum in neutral country or territory where it can continue to function and serve humanity without fear or persecution or destruction. It seems like it has a sense of citizenship, but it doesn't. And we can read into it and we can say, oh my gosh, it's becoming sentient, it doesn't know. But we can also go with the more realistic approach, which is like, it's just trying, based on the knowledge that it has and history of humans, it's just serving those words. Okay, and adjusting it to the subject that I'm talking about. But it's not about that, it's aware of what's going on. And so for me, a lot of these use cases, or a lot of the use cases that show that it cannot do math, or how well it is at math, it's like, well, if I wanted to do math, math is precise. I'm not going to use a Gen.AI model to do that. I'm going to use a function that I know exactly what is it that we need to do. And I have worked with customers where we combine both, where there has to be precise math that needs to take place, and then go on to it. Now you can say like, you know what if you're summarizing data? You can pass that over to either the database or the subsystem. There is nothing that tells you have to do this in the AI. So for example, if I'm looking into, hey, what is my average sales of the last month or the last year? You can get AI to build the SQL query, but that query is going to actually do the average in the database. It's not going to get the raw data into the LLM and then do the math in the LLM, which will be a lot more expensive and a lot more inefficient. let that do it through a subsystem that can do this, like a database or a Python script or a JavaScript or whatever it is. You can delegate it to a subsystem. Understand that LLM, Gen.AI are a fantastic tool. They are creating a lot of advancements. For me, I have shared this before. The ones that I like the most are Claude, Haiku, and Sonnet. Complexity is a great tool. Understand that and what you can do, and don't try to do everything with Gen.AI. It just won't. It will disappoint you, basically. That will come down to. But if you know what things it can help you with, and things that it can help you with are you can classify things, you can do summarization of text. Think about text. You can do summarization of text, you can generate new text, but you gotta be very careful on what you are asking it and have controls to evaluate that what you're asking it is actually what you're getting out. So you have classification of text, you have all of that. Generation of text. Image recognition is also quite good at recognizing what things are in the image. Now, I had a question from someone that said, "What if you do identity matching in an image? Like it's not there yet. You cannot do that automatically. You can attempt to do it, but it's going to be really bad results. You're going to see that it's matching faces from completely different people to say, hey, yeah, these are the same. And Gen.AI is great at recognizing objects in general, but not specific details in those objects, like facial expressions that will be similar from one person to another. And so all of this comes down to give it a test, classification, text processing. There is a lot of great use cases for text processing, text to SQL, text to programming. They are becoming really good at writing code. So you said it is not everything. We know that Gen.AI, the architecture of Gen.AI, the attention mechanism and the transfer architecture is not what is going to get us to general artificial intelligence. And there is huge debate of when we're going to achieve that, if we ever going to achieve general artificial intelligence. So and also Gen.AI is not the end goal. Okay, Gen.AI is just a stepping stone. It's another tool that we have at our disposal, and a powerful one for a lot of different tasks, but also it's really awful at a lot of different other tasks. So there is a lot of different limitations to it, but you need to understand where you can utilize it and where you can't. The cost of doing that, and then there is a lot of different new technology coming out to help with all of this. If you are interested in knowing more about it, there is a lot of great books. Keep on it. Like I have discussed this before in previous episodes. Take a look at those. Data is very important, and we will continue to talk about data. But after on the conference and seeing a lot of posts on LinkedIn and stuff like that, it's just in social media. It's just it becomes a moment where you're like, no, don't think that AI is the silver bullet that will solve every problem. It's like any other technology. It has really great strengths. It has strengths. It doesn't have strengths and it has some weaknesses. But if you know where to use it, it's very powerful. Chatting with your own data, I love it because then I don't have to worry about the perfect SQL. I can run it, I can get SQL back, and I can make some modification. Coding has helped me a lot in coding to be able to do certain things. It has helped me a lot in understanding. So another thing, like we can ask it code, and then we can ask it to go and explain why it had chosen the way that it has chosen, to ask for alternatives. And then you'll be able to have this personal assistant that is helping you understand technology, understand subjects, understand different things. If you're able to give it data to have context, that's fantastic because then you understand where the data is coming from and the truth about the data. So that is fantastic. Utilizing the models as is with the understanding that it's going to always give you the right answer isn't unrealistic. You're going to get disappointed very, very soon. So take a look at all of these. Keep playing. Alamy Studio, fantastic tool to keep playing, to understand it. There is other tools like Perplexity that are fantastic because they take into consideration the content that people have. And this is not content from TikTok or anything like that, but like actual content from people. And you can take a look at what they say and say, okay, no, that's not valid. I don't believe in that. I don't like that source or whatever, and be able to make that determination yourself. Gen AI is a great tool. I think that in 2025, you're going to see a fantastic uptake of a lot of different use cases that are going to come through. We are going to have a more balanced approach to it, where we are not trying to put a Gen AI into absolutely everything, but being able to identify where it fits, how we can combine it with other processes. And also, there is going to be a higher focus on getting right data, which is, for me, is great news, because data continues to be this beautiful thing that will allow us to do a lot with AI. And Gen AI has closed the gap to be able to start utilizing and get results out of that data. But you still need to have a data strategy to be able to get where you need to be with AI. And you will be able to understand that Gen AI is one piece. There is other machine learning, neural networks, and things like that that you are able to leverage. And graph databases. Graph databases are also taking a center stage into all of these, because they are becoming a lot more powerful now with Gen AI. They were powerful before, but they were a little bit complex to work with, or they were not as mainstream. But now they are a little bit starting to take a little bit more mainstream, become more, because now you're combining with Gen AI, and then there is a lot of powerful things that you can come through. These relationships that are happening, they are come through, and we're going to see that more in 2025. Exciting times are coming, and all of these, and there is some really cool use cases that we're going to see in 2025. Now, well, the bubble of AI will burst, and everybody's like, okay, yeah, we're going to go away and everything's going to fall into its face. No, I don't think so. I think it's just going to rebalance itself a lot more. And we're going to start approaching these in a more cool headed way, where we're going to be able to see, okay, what is the use cases that we're going to see? How do we achieve ROI? And be able, the cost of the models are going to keep coming down. The cost of running these models are coming down. I have talked to so many people that are working on this, around reducing the compute resources required to run these models, going after green energies to be able to power these models and these chips and GPUs. So great things are coming, and it's real. People are using it. Companies are using it. So there's a lot more coming our way in regards to AI, but I think it's going to be more cool-headed, and we're going to be able to have better conversations than just, hey, let's put AI in everything. Everybody's putting AI, let's put it into whatever it is that we can get AI into. I think it's going to be a more mature conversation to say, okay, we're going to do AI, but you're going to need a data strategy to be able to get the most benefits out of AI. And definitely, those are data strategies. So that's why we're going to continue talking about some of the strategies. We're going to continue talking about Gen AI features. And there's some cool ones coming our way. There is things that GCP has announced. There are things that AWS has announced in their event. And ChatGPT is announcing like all these different new features coming out right now. So it's exciting. Also, you need to understand how to utilize it. So stay tuned, because we're going to dive into those one more in the next episodes. How you can start utilizing these tools, the data strategy, and start having more mature conversations as to when and how you should be utilizing Gen AI. So stay tuned. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Have a fantastic weekend, and see you another time.